Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and today's video is going to be a fun one. In today's video, I'm taking you to the Master League, where we're cranking up the spice to 11 as level 50 Shadow Latios and level 50 Shadow Latias team up to wreak havoc on the Master League. Now, these battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Master Irish, so many thanks for the battle submission. Powering up a Shadow Pokemon for the Master League is an extremely expensive investment, around 700,000 dust. So between the two Lotties, this is a 1.4 million Stardust duo. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. And in game number 1, we've got a perfect mirror lead, Zacian into Zacian. Opponent safe switches into Palkia, and that's answered with Latios. Latios racing to the Aura Sphere, but losing charge attack priority. Facial Rend would easily KO, so Latios has to respect it just to get Aqua Tail baited. Aura Sphere will be deadly out of the Palkia, so Palkia is more than happy to match shields. The Dragon Breaths are shredding through Latios. Palkia gonna fire off energy, but they can't go for the Aqua Tail because if they do, it's not gonna knock out. The greed of Palkia backfires. Shadow Latios hangs on, and just like that, Latios wins the one shield. In comes Zacian getting a 2 Metal Claw head start, but that's the exact amount of energy that Master Irish's Zacian has. So now, it's at perfect energy parity. Shield comes up, Zacian fires off the Behemoth Blade, that's going to be shielded, and now he's going to farm up just shy of the back-to-back close combats. Close combat is going to be doing less damage, but will still hurt. In the back is a Dragon Tail Kyurem, and that's going to be answered with the Shadow Latias. Latias unleashing Aura Sphere. This is guaranteed to force the final shield from the opponent, and they're going to have to be very careful with their overfarming. I don't think Fusion Bolt will be enough to secure the knockout here. They do go for the Fusion Bolt. It does not KO, but the Aura Sphere cannot be reached. Back in comes Zacian, immediately under threat from the Fusion Bolt, but Kyurem is burning all of its residual energy. Zacian farming up, opponent switches in their own Zacian just to be immediately answered with the close combat. Close combat will take the knockout. It's going to be a race. Fusion Bolt versus close combat, and Zacian is able to outpace. The perfect energy management. Down goes Kyurem, and that is a good game. We move to game number 2, leading Zacian into Blacephalon, opponent bringing out the spice, and that is a terrible lead. The safe switch into Shadow Latios is going to be hard answered with Lunala, and this is not what Latios was hoping to see. This game going from bad to worse as Blacephalon's energy will go absolutely everywhere. Dragon Claw lands, that's nice damage onto Lunala, but unfortunately, Lunala's going to be winning all even shield scenarios, so Latios can't really do anything except let itself get knocked out. In comes Zacian. Zacian going to look for an aggressive farm down. Will take some pretty significant damage along the way. A Shadow Ball is going to put them deep into the yellow. Zacian is able to get that farm down. Blacephalon should get absolutely shredded by a Behemoth Blade. I know it's resisted, but it has no bulk to speak of. Behemoth Blade will be shielded. In comes Latias. Latias, oh my goodness, these Dragon Breaths are shredding. The shield comes up from Latias as Blacephalon full sends the Shadow Ball. In the back is Reshiram. And Latias is swinging it for the fences. Full setting the Mist Ball. Do they respect it? Yes, they do, and that might be the dagger. Mist Ball, however, does get an attack drop, so maybe there's still a chance. Latias was getting melted by the Dragon Breaths. Latias racing to the Mist Ball. With the debuff Dragon Breaths, Latias is suddenly a lot healthier than it typically would have been. This game will all come down to a catch. In comes Blacephalon. Oh, tries for the catch. Just missing that snipe down, and unfortunately, Blacephalon exits with the Shadow Ball, KOing the Latias. That was a roller coaster of a game. Tough lead in the next match, Zacian into Reshiram. Reshiram has super effective damage for this entire team, so getting rid of it is definitely going to be a team effort. Slow switch by the opponent. They stayed in for a while, gathering energy on Reshiram before sending in Palkia. Palkia shields the Aura Sphere bait. They're just going to fire off an Aqua Tail. Latios going to be no shielding. Can Latios make the Aura Sphere? It's going to be close, and Latios barely able to get there. Aura Sphere will not knock out, but it will be putting them very, very low, and this should set up a little bit of a farm down for the Zacian. In comes Zacian, sniping them down with the Metal Claw, and back in comes Reshiram. Reshiram, Fusion Flare is super effective, but importantly, it will not be enough to take the KO. So Zacian is going to no shield. Zacian loses a lot of HP as it continues to farm and puts up the shield from Fusion Flare number 2. Zacian's close combat will do quite a lot of damage to Reshiram. Close combat almost at the back-to-back, and now the opponent has a tough decision to make. They're going to be no shielding Reshiram. Reshiram gets farmed down. In the back, they have Dialga, and oh my goodness, Dialga is going to be shielding the close combat. They have to, but the moment they do, in comes Shadow Latias, and Latios is about to absolutely destroy Dialga with an Aura Sphere. Latios shields up the Iron Head. These Dragon Breaths are adding up quite a bit, farming up to the back-to-back Aura Spheres just in case the second charge stack is needed. Aura Sphere into Dialga is going to land, and it will actually be needed. Dialga able to barely survive, but with back-to-back Aura Spheres, there was never a chance, and Latias is able to secure the game after a pretty tricky lead. Zacian leading into Zacian in the next match, probably the most common matchup in the Master League, and very happy to play this out, although anytime there's Zacian, there's a pretty good bet that there's going to be a Palkia lurking somewhere in the back. Farming up, the opponent refusing to throw energy, and Master Irish will look to strike first with Close Combat. Close Combat gets shielded, winning charge attack priority, and now Master Irish is just never going to be shielded as Zacian. He was able to get both Protect Shields, so this is a very easy no shield, and then just take 2 shields for the Lotties in the back. In comes Latios, opponent insta-throws. Did they go for the blind Close Combat? They did not. They went for Behemoth Blade. Latios gets rocked, and it's going to be up to Latias to try and close out this game. Latios able to outpace, making it to the Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere is going to be knocking out that Zacian. But if they have 2 dragons in the back, Latios might end up getting farmed down. But it's not a dragon, it's a Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh farming up a ton of energy, but this is a Shadow Mist Ball. Mist Ball is an incredibly efficient attack, almost able to pick up the one-hit knockout. Ho-Oh barely hangs on as it goes for the Brave Bird. In the back, they have a Dragon Tail Kyurem, and Kyurem is about to get absolutely destroyed by this Mist Ball. We saw how much damage that did to a Ho-Oh. Mist Ball lands, sniping down with the Latios. All that's left is Ho-Oh. That's getting farmed down as well. I'm surprised, a Zacian with no Palkia in the back. Even though poor Latios got absolutely destroyed, Latias was able to 1v2. Well, I was looking for the Palkia, and apparently where I needed to find it was in the next game. It's on the lead, and it's leading into Zacian. Zacian gonna respect a Fire Blast here, and they actually have it. Oh my goodness, opponent makes an incredibly poor play as they switch out of Palkia, which is a fine matchup, and just sacrifice Dialga to the Wolves. Dialga gets crushed by a Close Combat. They get farmed down by the Latios, and Latios is going to be answered with a Shadow Tyranitar. Tyranitar's Dragon Breaths do add up, but Tyranitar is under massive threat here. Tyranitar is forced to burn both shields, and now the game is just over. The opponent was so weak to Zacian in the back, they definitely would have been better off had they never thrown the Fire Blast. This is a really good example of how having a nuke move shielded, especially when it's such an expensive nuke move, can just lose you a game on the spot. It's definitely worth it as the Palkia. Oh, they're not actually even running Aqua Tail. Wow, they're Spatial Rend and Fire Blast. I was going to say, the correct move in my eyes is just to go straight Aqua Tail. Fire Blast, outside of the odd one-hit KO, it's really going to be more of a hindrance than a help. Just because if it ever gets shielded, that catastrophic loss of energy, you just can't really recover. We're back in familiar territory in the next match, leading Zacian into Zacian. This matchup is always a little bit tricky, because Behemoth Blade seems to be the way to go, because that way you're not debuffing yourself and it does do the most damage. But if you're ever able to fire off back-to-back Close Combats, that's obviously cheaper, so you're able to pressure more shields faster. Looks like Master Irish will put up the shield and go for the Close Combat, hoping the opponent decides to match shields, and they do. And now this is going to set up a second Close Combat. I don't think this is quite going to be enough to knock out, but if the opponent ever no shields, then it could put the Lotties in a pretty good spot. The opponent will end up shielding. I think at this point you just let this go and then just save the shields for the Lotties, because we've established that they absolutely need them. In comes Latios. Latios gonna try and outpace here, make it to the Aura Sphere. Unfortunately, Zacian is able to make the Behemoth Blade, so shield will come up. Behemoth Blade would be absolutely devastating. In comes Zekrom, and I think Zekrom's not gonna like what comes next. A Shadow Latios Dragon Claw is gonna connect, one-hit KO onto the Zekrom. Back in comes the Zacian. That's a really nice overfarm from the Latios. Latios just completely taking over this game. Aura Sphere lands, taking the knockout. In the back is another Kyurem. Kyurem about to get shredded by Aura Sphere. Shadow Latios just on a rampage. Look at the damage. In comes Latios. Latios can't quite get the farm down. Kyurem pounds the ground in frustration as it only makes it to a Fusion Bolt. And Shadow Latios, oh my goodness, that was a highlight game. We get the same leads in the next match, Zacian into Zacian. We've established how Master Irish likes to play this. Just try and get the opponent low. If the opponent ever gives up both shields, then just try and save at least one shield for the Lotties in the back, because with their frailty, they're going to need it. Post combat does get no shielded. I honestly like the decision to kind of just throw away the Zacian. Opponent goes for the close combat as well, and then try for the double resistant farm down. This is only a close combat, though. They do not have enough energy for the Behemoth Blade. That still somehow does half of Latios' HP. Oh my goodness, this Pokemon is so frail. And the fact that Latios is already so low, I think is going to be a pretty big problem, especially if they end up shielding this Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere is going to be shielded. In comes Latias. Latias gonna try for farm, just gonna fire off the Aura Sphere. The opponent doesn't even go for the Aqua Tail. I think they would have been pretty well off just firing off Aqua Tail, but instead, Aura Sphere picks up the knockout, and in the back is Rhyperior. Can Latios make it to 2 Aura Spheres? That's gonna be needed to have a chance at this game. Aura Sphere shielded up by the Shadow Rhyperior. Shadow Rhyperior pivots to the Zacian. Zacian, no! Gets the farm down! Latios farms down the Zacian, but Latios is so low, it gets farmed down by Mud Slap. That was such a close game, but the triple resist on Dragon Breath. Dragon Breath can't quite pick up the knockout, and unfortunately that game will end in defeat. We move to the next match. Great lead, leading Zacian into the Xerneas, but unfortunately, a Palkia safe switch is always going to be a problem for this team. Latios no shields calling the Aqua Tail, but now is in a range where Palkia can just farm it down. Aura Sphere is going to be shielded, but Latios always seems to make that second Aura Sphere. I never think it can, but it's barely able to survive. We see the Dragon Breath go through after, so it's not even damage registration error. Latios is just bulky enough to barely hang on. Now in comes Latias, shielding up the Spatial Rend. Latias hoping for the farm down here, gets the farm down, and now this Xerneas is about to get shredded for a lot of HP by Mist Ball. Usually Xerneas can oftentimes be paired with a fire type, whether it's a Ho-Oh or a Reshiram, so I wouldn't be surprised to see either one. Xerneas is actually close combat, so they want damage onto the Zacian. In the back, that's not a fire type at all, that's a Kyogre. But Zacian should make the double close combat and just take home the win, because the waterfalls just don't do a lot of damage. Zacian's stat product is just absurd. That's what you need when you're running 2 very spicy, glassy picks in the back in the Master League. You're going to need the bulk. The close combat will take the knockout. Back in comes Xerneas. Xerneas gets farmed down, and that game will end in victory. We move to the next match, leading Zacian into Palkia, but that's not the Palkia I was expecting. That's the original Palkia, and unfortunately there's a simultaneous safe switch. Latios into the Zacian. Latios will strike first. Shadow Aura Sphere, I imagine, will be able to pick up a 2-hit knockout. It is with the Dragon Breath, so not quite the 2-hit knockout, but with the Dragon Breath, it is now into the yellow HP. Aura Sphere number 2 does get the shield from the Zacian. Zacian, we've established, can knock out here even with a close combat. No shield comes out, and close combat will secure the KO. This could set up really massive farm for the Zacian. Zacian gets brought in, no shield on the close combat opponent, now at -4, and they pivot into Zamazenta. But Zamazenta, I really don't agree with this pivot from the opponent. Zamazenta's about to get absolutely destroyed by close combat. Behemoth Bash gets the shield, but Zacian farms up to the back-to-back, and now this Zamazenta is just cooked. I don't really get the idea behind switching in here, because Zamazenta gets shredded. In comes Latias, but unfortunately Latias is now on the defensive, having to shield a Behemoth Bash. Oh, this could be a nice farm down for the Latias, though. Latias able to exit with energy as back in comes the Zacian. Zacian did throw its energy, so they are really far behind. They no shield, they get KO'd, and it's all up to Palkia. Palkia looking for a farm down that they're not going to get. The Mist Ball is reached. Mist Ball's easily taken the KO. Mist Ball will be shielded, and there's the combo play with Zacian. Zacian hits the field, launching close combat. Palkia does not survive. They get farmed down by Metal Claws, and that's a good game. Hopping into the final match, Zacian into Ho-Oh. Oh, this is not what you want to see. Safe switch into the Shadow Latios, and Ho-Oh is staying in. Ho-Oh gonna get outpaced here. Latios makes the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw not gonna hit like a Mist Ball, but it's still scary enough to force a shield from the opponent. Ho-Oh farms up. I think it's likely they go for the Sacred Fire here, just because Sacred Fire does have the 50% chance at an attack drop. They don't get it, and that's gonna be a problem for them as in comes Zacian. Dodging the debuff from Ho-Oh is so nice for the Latios, because these Aura Spheres are quite threatening. Zacian not able to overfarm as much as they maybe would have liked. They don't want to take that damage. They're forced to go for the Behemoth Blade. Well, we know they could have close combated as well, but most people don't like to throw close combats at Psychic types. Zacian gets brought into the mirror, will take the knockout with the close combat, and it's all up to Latios to close out this game. Ho-Oh staying in, so either they don't have a great answer in the back, or they're just trying to fish for the debuff that they didn't get the first time. Sacred Fire does get the debuff. It is a 50-50, and in comes Palkia. Going for an Aura Sphere bait here, already has been debuffed. Aura Sphere does get shielded. This sets up Latias to make the Mist Ball. Mist Ball, I would assume, would KO, but this is a debuffed Mist Ball. Mist Ball lands, that's still sizable damage onto the Palkia, and with all the damage Ho-Oh has taken throughout the course of this game, maybe, just maybe, Zacian can close it out. Zacian's going to look for an incredibly aggressive farm down. Opponent's switch clock will now be up, so they will be able to pivot and send in the Ho-Oh. The game comes down to this. Do 4 Metal Claws and a Behemoth Blade take the KO. Zacian goes for Behemoth Blade, down goes Ho-Oh, and that's going to be a win. In comes Palkia, they do not get the Aqua Tail, and that is a good game. All in all, these were some very fun battles, so many thanks to Master Irish for the battle submission. Now, it goes without saying, the Shadow Lottie twins, they are definitely more of picks for fun than for climbing in the Master League. Now, in the Mega Master League, Mega Latios and Mega Latias are actually a pretty terrifying duo to go up against. As far as their shadows, they're definitely more anti-meta in the regular Master League at best, but with very careful gameplay and with a strong supporting cast, in this case, the ever-present Zacian, they were able to cause some mischief for opposing teams. I don't even want to think about the amount of resources that went into building the Shadow Latios and the Shadow Latias. As I mentioned, it's probably 1.4 million Stardust between the two, factoring in all the power-ups and the double move and all the raids. I will say, for someone who has a pretty solid Master League roster, I feel like raiding is actually a rather monotonous point in the game, and I'd be curious to hear people's thoughts on that. Because I do really like having the Master League Pokemon, but I feel like, especially after the whole Eternatus fiasco, that the actual act of raiding is not the most interesting aspect of it. I do enjoy raid hours because the raids are very fast, because you can obviously show up and have automatic lobbies of 20, but short manning raids and having to try and get like 296 XLs, or in this case with the Shadow, 360 XLs, it can be quite a grind, and it honestly isn't as fun as maybe it used to be, or maybe it never was fun, I guess. But all in all, that was a bit of a tangent there. These are some very fun battles, and I very much enjoyed them. And yeah, that's about it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please do leave a like on it, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. And an extra special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys so very much, and until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.